Welcome to the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of May 2nd, 2022. That's a weird way to say it, isn't it? What do we say, 2022? It's one of those things when you see it written down and all of a sudden your tongue just goes,
what now?
You know what year it is. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
And Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
Every week we chat about the things parents are talking about, complaining about, and obsessing about right now. This week, we're complaining about a baby care app and obsessing about companies we would like to change. We also take a couple of breaks for an entertainment discussion and a recommendation roundup. Today, we are talking about memories of mom. It's almost Mother's Day. It's coming up this Sunday. Hurry, go out, make yourself some reservations in get a card, some flowers maybe, nice gift. I'm getting none of these things, but that's the way we roll these days. Holiday is just another day. Maybe I'll get a happy Mother's Day.
I hope so.
And that'll be fine. It would not have been fine for my mother, however. I'm pretty sure we did stuff. She was a good mom and she did so much for us. And if we forgot to do something to her, it hurt her feelings, which I can kind of see, but it doesn't do me any good. So I'm trying to stop.
It doesn't do you any good to have your feelings hurt.
It doesn't do me any good to get my feelings hurt. Nobody cared. I cared when my mother had her feelings hurt because, she was an expert sulker. I am not so good apparently because my family's life just goes right on by. Oh, were you in your room for the last 3 hours? We didn't notice. We were just watching TV and playing with our devices. And I lacked the stamina. She was once mad for like 3 days. And my dad and I pretty much crawled on our bellies to her room, begging forgiveness. My poor mom. My mom was a wonderful woman. And the only things I remember about her here on this podcast are things like that. And her worrying about me and laying in a dark room with a rag over her eyes. But y'all share your nice memories of your mom. And all my memories are nice. She was a wonderful mother. She took really good care of me. She made me believe that I was really special, which maybe she could have soft pedaled that a little bit. But still, I appreciate it. It was nice to know somebody felt that way. But let me hone in on a good one while you guys share yours.
Okay. Nicole, do you want to go first or should I?
You go.
We're all after you. No, after you.
Well, I was trying to think.
We love our moms. Really, we do. Honestly.
I'm having trouble coming up with something from when I was little. I guess just because, there were 3 of us kids and we were all pretty close together. And so there wasn't a lot of like one-on-one stuff that went on. I mean, we used to go to the grocery store every Saturday. My mom would take my grandmother to the grocery store because my grandmother didn't drive. And I would go a lot of the times with them. And I'm sure I was super helpful. I'm surprised I was allowed to go, to be honest. But in terms of like later, I mean, when I was in my 20s and working for a magazine in New York, and I would sometimes get to go on press trips, which is an awesome perk. But, in order to do it, you have to have a job where you're earning like pennies on the dollar. But anyway, so usually you would go by yourself on these press trips and it would just be people from other publications and it's, a destination or some brand or something that's promoting themselves. But one time I got to take my mom on a press trip and it was a cruise and it was like, I was super seasick and pretty miserable. And my mom was like, well, I'm going to the casino. She had a great time. And, whenever I wasn't seasick, we had a good time together and that was fun because, we didn't usually
That's neat.
do that kind of stuff. And she, she's a traveler and a sophisticated traveler, and this was
Mhm.
not that. This was a very like run of the mill cruise, from Florida to the Bahamas or something.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so not her kind of trip at all. But I can't remember how it happened that she came along, but she did, and it was fun.
Mhm.
So
That's fun.
Yeah.
I remember she brought me apples to eat because the chef said that would help me with
Huh.
Did
my
it?
seasickness. I mean, I think probably just time
Oh, okay.
was the main, and probably some Dramamine was what got me through. So yeah, it was fun. And then even just like a month ago, or 2 months ago, my daughter had her skating competition in Colorado, and kind of at the last minute, my mom decided to come too,
Hmm.
and that was really fun too.
Yeah,
Little 3-generation
Yeah.
that's fun.
get together. So,
Yeah, I don't have any of those kind of memories of my mom really because she passed away when my kids were still young and she was on the other side of the country. So
Mhm.
they didn't have that much time together. So I don't have any, real recent memories. And I would love to have some big family memories, but part of that is my fault for being so far away from her.
Mhm.
And she would come out every now and then, but it wasn't the same as,
right.
you know, and it was a long time ago. It would have been different when the kids were older too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I keep bringing the mood down.
Okay, well, I will say something then. um, so when I think of memories of my mom, I think of more like I have specific memories, and growing up, as most of you long-term listeners have heard,
Mhm.
I had a pretty kind of low-key relationship with my mom. And but the moments that really kind of made me appreciate, I mean, I always appreciate her, but when you're younger, you're like, okay. But
Yeah.
the moments that
Yeah.
made me really like were endearing and were meaningful to me, like super meaningful to me, were when my kids were younger. Even now to this day, she is amazing with my kids, and she always
Mm.
has been, right from the day that they were born. She would be the nana that would come over because and help me through the night. She would wake
Mhm.
up with them and feed them because they were also taking bottles. So she was able to do that while I slept, and she would look after them and babysit them. And she like not like a full time, but she
Right.
was she lived we lived fairly close to them, about 20 minutes away, and she would come over and just give me a break or clean my house, do my laundry,
Ooh.
bring dinner, bring groceries. Like she was just that,
Mhm.
she's been a great grandma, like just been a really good grandmother to them. And
Mhm.
then they have good relationships with her and my dad too. He's phenomenal as well with them. And so both of my kids have very good relationships with them. So it's been, yeah.
Nice.
And so for me, I didn't know my grandparents really. I didn't have a lot to do with them except for my paternal grandmother, who I only really got to spend time with later on in life. But
Mhm.
it's been really nice to see my kids have that connection to their grandparents. And
Yeah,
so
that is nice.
so I really, when I think of her, I think of like how amazing she's been with my kids. So
Yeah.
that's been a really positive memory of my mom. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for all you do. So even
Yeah.
now, she'll like, be there. She'll be there at the drop of the hat if she's if you need her, if something's going on, she'll be right there, no questions asked kind of thing.
Yeah.
To help out. So she's like, recently my daughter's had some health things going on, and she lives away. She lives in another city, and in the same city where my mom lives. So my mom has spent several early mornings with her, sitting in the doctor's office, just keeping her company.
Mhm.
So
Aw,
yeah, but yeah,
that's nice.
yeah. So I aspire to be like her. If,
Yeah.
and hopefully when my kids have their own children. So
No
yeah,
pressure.
no pressure. No pressure. So
A little bit of pressure in my house, but anyway. Yeah, I remember my mom and I did lots of things together. I feel like I was pretty much my mom's job and my mom's I don't want to say obsession exactly because that sounds bad, but she was pretty into being my mom. And we would do things like the church we went to always had these mother-daughter dinners, and they had mother-daughter fashion shows that we would always do together. And I know there was one time we sang together for something at the church.
Wow.
We sang "You've Got a Friend" in harmony.
wow.
And she was a very good singer. She was the kind of person who would sing hymns at church and people would turn around and say, "Who's that?" Wow.
Mhm.
She had a really good voice. I think at one point early in her life, she had wanted to be a professional singer, but that did not work out. She got to be my mom instead. Wow, what a good trade.
She was
And
happy with that trade.
she was happy. So she was, and we, on Christmases, we would go to like church on Christmas Eve, and then we would come home and sit in the living room, which didn't get sat in that often. It was, where you sit with guests, as things were back in that time. And we would sit in the living room, and my dad, who was not a singer, would sit and listen as my mom and I sang carols together.
Mhm.
That was a really nice tradition.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of things like that we just did together. I remember when I was a real little kid going with her to the beauty shop every time she had her hair dyed, which was frequently. And I would took a long time. And I would just kind of be hanging out at the beauty parlor, rolling around on the floor, playing with my toys, doing whatever while she was having this sticky stuff put on her head.
Beauty parlor.
So just lots of little togetherness things. And she always tried her best for me and felt my defeats at least as hard, if not harder than I did. And she was, when we brought the kids home from Russia, she was there. She came out when she knew when we were going to be home. So she was there for our homecoming, and that was really nice. I was really happy to have her there. I really wish she could have been more involved in my kids' early life. They don't remember her at all, and they barely remember her grandmother their grandmother who actually lived with us. So kids, man, they don't hold memories very good. If you're not constantly in their life, it's like, well, yeah, sort of, maybe there was that person.
What do they call that? Object permanence?
Yes, I think so. Like, but how can you not remember?
Right. I know.
And then I'm like, I got memories of my mom. Sure.
I know.
You came up with some good ones.
Yeah. She was a good mom, and I miss her.
Yeah.
But,
I think we just get used to the daily, day-to-day stuff, right? And
yes,
just kind of assume that, you just make a lot of assumptions with those relationships.
Yes.
But if you stand back and think about it, it's like, oh
yeah. Life throws so much stuff at you, and your brain only has so much capacity. It's easy to lose things that aren't of immediate concern, but important to remember them every so often, which is why it's good to have a podcast.
Right. Here we are.
And now we're making you think of good things about your mothers.
That's right.
Right, listeners? It's not too late.
You have almost a whole week.
Yeah.
Go tell your mother something nice you remember about her.
Yeah.
Think hard. You have a week to think about it.
That's right.
Surely you can come up with something.
But we will wrap up for today so that you have time to go think about that. But do tune in tomorrow for our entertainment themed round 2 and later in the week to find out what we're complaining about, obsessing about, and recommending right now. We're always interested in what you have to say, so drop us a comment on our website, our Facebook page, or Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat.